Hello, hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all stages. I am the Dungeon Minister, and I am here with the most estimable Yang and the Delver, and we are the Nerd Council of Doom. Welcome, welcome, gentlemen, welcome.
Good afternoon to you all. I am Bill Sylvie, and you're not.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today I will be playing the character of Yang Yan Zhao.
I'm not a Yang Yang Zhao, but I play one on the internet. Well, welcome, gentlemen. It has been another active month in all things nerdy, and we have much to parse, many problems of culture to solve.
It has.
Yeah, it's generally active. I will say that the probably the biggest thing in nerd culture that happened to me this month. Well, I'll talk about a few of those later, but one big thing is the administrator at my church. She went on vacation, and while she was on vacation, she found this button, this pin that she brought back for me, which I thought was pretty cool.
Okay.
She was in some antique shop in Nova Scotia and found they had a whole bunch of pins, and she saw that one and she grabbed it for me. So I thought that was nice of her.
I couldn't quite make it. What did it say?
Oh, it's a Dungeons and Dragons. It's got the ampersand dragon, a real close up on the ampersand dragon. It's kind of blurry.
Oh, that's nice. That is a very nice piece.
Yeah. I gotta once I start wearing a jacket again, when it gets cool enough, I will be putting it on. We've got Jimmy Invictus and Shadow and Sun and Bob Hastings and Squirrel Hermit, Nordic Maelstrom, Tunka Todd, the one and only unregistered Hypercam 2. Good heavens, all the coolest kids are gathering in the chat. Michael Dale from way downtown. All right, it's good to see everyone. Let's launch right into it. There haven't been any real news out of Star Wars recently, has there?
No. It's all quiet. Just a solid. In fact, peaceful. You know what? I'm going to Google it just to.
Yes,
no.
The Acolyte has been Acolyte.
That's right. I've got if you want to put that on Still Store for us there, Padre. I've got.
There you are.
Yes, season 2 of the Acolyte, nuked from orbit.
Yeah.
So the power of one, the power of two, the power of no viewers.
Yeah. Did not go down well.
It did not. It
went down.
Drano.
Yeah. Well, what can you say? We had a badly produced series that cost more per episode, I think, than the budgets of Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi combined.
Now, does that factor in inflation? Because, I mean, frankly, my car cost more than the original Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean, but in Canadian pesos anyway. But no,
we just use maple leaves up here.
Oh, that's right. They fear the day of the rake. But anyway, so the Acolyte got nuked from orbit. It was pretty contentious. It was pretty awful from everything I saw. Stone castles that burned to the ground. Look, I'm gonna say something. As far as like a stone castle that burns around, there are lots of types of rock that will burn. I mean, you could make the case that coal is a rock that burns. With that said, a campfire on the side of your spaceship in deep space, which is what we got in like the first 2 minutes of the first episode of The Acolyte, and I'm reminded of a gag in The Simpsons where they film the radioactive man live action movie in Springfield, and there's an absolutely atrocious special effect, and the director says it cost us millions of dollars, but you can see it all there on screen. And yeah, I mean, again, this is $180 million for the first season. And like the best you could come up with, literally the best practical effect you could do was throwing some pieces of wood into a metal bucket and lighting them on fire and sticking it next to your spaceship soundstage.
You know, the worst part of that story is at some point they had to hire people to do the sound design for that and re-record it so that you could put in that sound effect.
Yeah. That's
somebody worked on that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm picturing in my mind the scene in Ed Wood when somebody, the film version of Ed Wood, which if you guys haven't seen, Johnny Depp, Martin Landau, Bill Murray has a cameo in it. G.D. Spradlin is in it. It's literally a cast of just tens of great actors and actresses. And, you know, somebody's explaining to him how awful what they're filming is. Like, yeah, you know, we can literally, there's like 5 seconds I can see someone's hand in the shot moving the rubber arm for this thing. And in one of his flashes of genius, Ed Wood is just like, it doesn't matter. You just have to think about the bigger picture. And I cannot help but imagine that this is exactly the same mindset that was going on here with the Acolyte. But it was by all accounts. Now let me clarify something. Let me qualify what I'm about to say. I am a Star Wars fan insofar as I care about the tiny collection of books that came out right around the time Star Wars did, Splinter of the Mind's Eye, the Han Solo trilogy, Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. The prequels were mid. I didn't like the idea of testing positive for Jedi. I did like the Marvel comic, and I loved Rogue One. I thought Rogue One was pretty worthy. That is the size of my Star Wars universe. So people who are like the Star Wars equivalent of Trekkies were all over this thing in a bad way, talking about how like it was a betrayal of everything to do with the deep Jedi lore. It was a betrayal of all the previously established canon story arcs in the extended universe and everything like that. So by all accounts, this was bad. And in that respect, as someone who loved Star Wars, I have many wonderful stories about Star Wars being a formative part of my childhood. I'm glad it's dead.
Well, yes, it you know, I never watched it because I don't have Disney Plus. I won't get Disney Plus. I have no reason to get Disney Plus. But even the clips I would see on YouTube, you know, that were being presented by a very pro Acolyte point of view, that were saying, "Isn't this a great show? Watch this scene." Because I wanted to give it a shot. You know, I saw the Drinker comment on it. I think the Drinker was the first I even knew that thing was happening, and I thought, well, okay, that's probably going to be his take because he's sort of staked out that position in the critique, you know, in the world of critique. But what are people who really think it's hot stuff? What are they saying about it? And they would show clips, and I'd say, and it's he's got a helmet with teeth on it, and they're dancing, it looks like, with glowing sticks. And people were talking about how great the fight choreography was. I was like, that's not a great fight choreography. I mean, it's active. There was a lot of jumping and kicking and hitting, but it wasn't like in terms of, you know, wide open shots where you could just down the person and they decide instead to punch him. You know, it just didn't make any sense. And then I saw the infamous "The Power of One, the Power of Two," and that sing song in it. I can't get that out of my head. Yeah, that strange atonal drone.
It was pretty cringe.
Sort of summed it up.
Well, it was pretty cringe.
I watched the first 4 or 5 episodes, and it was very interesting. I actually have to say I kind of liked that fight scene in the first one because it looked like a Chinese wuxia film, like it would be a kung fu film out of Hong Kong. And at first, I was like, "Oh, well, that's pretty cool." We haven't seen this before. And there was a reason why the one person was that lady there on the screen was trying to punch the Jedi, which is because she was tasked to kill Jedi without using a weapon, which she then conveniently ignores until the plot demands that she remembers. But like in the first 5 minutes, things were going all right. And then things started going horribly wrong. And I would like to point out that most of the things from the series, like that Coven of Witches, that's been around for 20 some years. What's his name? Darth Maul and his brother from the cartoon series. They were supposed to have originated from there. A lot of the ideas come from before.
But did they sing?
That was why they lost, honestly. Obi-Wan would have been screwed had Darth Maul start singing. But
Coven of Witches, like that's cool. Okay, I can go with that. Coven of Singing Witches, not so much. I can't do it.
See, that's why they were alone in the fortress, because no one wanted to be around them with all that singing.
Yeah.
But
that and the fact that it goes up in smoke if you light a fire.
Yeah,
the stone wall.
The interesting thing to me is that in order to get here, instead of just like mediocre, you would think the law of averages would say like, yeah, they're going to screw up half and half they'll get right. No. And every time they had to make a decision, it was the wrong decision. Like so this lady here has to kill a bunch of Jedi to get revenge and, for her master. And it's like, okay, so the second Jedi that gets killed, he's like force meditating. So he's like floating around and she can't kick him. She can't punch him. She can't throw things at him. So like she convinces him to take poison to kill himself. Like what? Who thought that would be fun to watch?
Well, you know what? Actually, I'm going to tell you, I think it's the first episode of the Benedict Crumblybuns Sherlock involves a killer, and I hope I'm not spoiling it, but the thing came out years ago.
I know exactly the point you're talking about, and it struck me equally as terrible.
That one involved a killer that convinced people to poison themselves, and although it's a contrived murder method, it was still entertaining because Benedict Crumblybuns and Bilbo Baggins are fun to watch, and the writing was fun. But
well, that was the other problem. Nobody in this show was particularly good. Even Squid Game guy.
He's in the second language, but
well, I don't know that English is the second language for him based on this performance. I think it's more phonetic.
12.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they give him the script in Korean, and he just sort of tries to make the words sound the right way.
Right. Which is better than I can do in Korean, I gotta say. But
I liked him in Squid Games, but you get at some point you got to say, you know what? I don't think I could pull this off.
That reminds me, Gert Frobe, who played Auric Goldfinger in the titular James Bond film. He didn't speak English. He did it phonetically. So
there's same thing with Antonio Banderas when he filmed Desperado.
Yeah,
he couldn't speak English at that time.
Yeah. Chow Yun Fat.
Fortunately, there wasn't a lot of speaking involved in that movie.
When Chow Yun Fat did Replacement Killers, his command of the English language was very, 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 very limited, and he learned to speak English on the set of the Replacement Killers with rote recitation of dialogue. But I think I'm blanking on the gentleman's name, but I saw it down here below. Lee Jung Jae is that am I saying that right?
Yes.
I hope that he did get a good education in the English language, having been on this film, because then at least he would have gotten something positive other than a paycheck out of it.
Well, I think the lesson is don't work for Disney.
Oh yeah, unquestionably.
Stick with that Netflix money.
Yeah. You know, give us Train to Busan 3 or whatever, my friend, and Squid Game. I guess they're doing a Squid Game sequel.
Yeah.
Calamari games. Delicious.
Yum.
Marinara sauce.
I kind of like the tangy mustard sauce with mine, but the marinara is good also.
Nice.
Good stuff. So, yes, the Acolyte went down in campfire flames on the wing of your spaceships. So, and of course, I feel bad because I don't have this queued up, but someone is attempting a petition, a change.org petition to get us. Guys, come on. Use change.org.
I saw someone arguing, that some other series had been canceled and then it was revived, and the comments back were, but that series was good and it was canceled.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
well, and they were talking about the old, like Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. Oh, it takes them a couple seasons to get their legs. It's like, well, yes, but they also didn't cost more than the GDP of several countries to make.
Yeah. And that was, again, curse me. I've got to stay on top of the social media stuff. There was a absolutely lol-tacular post over on Twitter, X, call it what you will, where somebody was saying, I can't believe people didn't give this a chance. It took Breaking Bad a while to get going too. Can you say its first season? Oh my gosh.
Oh my.
The best time to have posted that would have been 5 minutes before you did. You want to talk about just eat cold soup out of the can take.
Yeah.
Comparing the Acolyte season 1 to Breaking Bad season 1. Oh man, somebody's TV privileges need to get taken away.
Say my name. Say my name.
Say the power of 2, the power of 1.
Well,
anyway, so of course, Canadian Breaking Bad is it goes, Mr. White, you have lung cancer. Fortunately, you live in a country where there's free healthcare. Here you go.
I get mistaken for that guy quite a bit. There's a group of teenagers in town who are convinced that I am Heisenberg.
Then you have to do the next Claricon. You just hand out some Blue Rock candy. Everybody gets Blue Rock candy, or
one of those hats, one of those fedora type hats.
Well, I do wear a straw boater during the summer. I switch to a bowler in the winter, but and it's not. He's not wearing a straw boater, but kids don't know hats. It's got a brim on it. It's a
it's a pork pie.
He wears a pork pie. But I keep getting called. People keep yelling, say my name at me.
Well, I mean, you get like clear blue dice to give out at Claricon.
Yeah.
I think there's an idea. And if people yell, say my name, you just snap back. You're God blessed, right? Anyway, so farewell, Acolyte. Unless you guys have got any further thoughts.
Just rest in peace.
Well, let me pose this to you, gents. What would it take to revive the Star Wars franchise?
If I may. Now, Dungeon Minister and I both know, and Yang, I think you're probably aware that the secret of late night comedy shows in the 1980s was that SCTV was far and away the superior to Saturday Night Live. Mm-hmm. However, after a particularly disastrous season of SNL, They had Madonna come out. She wasn't like on the show. She wasn't on it. She came out for the season opener, and Lorne Michaels had fired everyone except Dennis Miller, and I am completely going blank.
John Lovitz.
No, so yeah, it would have been Miller, Lovitz, and God, I've gone blank now. I can't remember. But anyway, out of everybody that was in three disastrous seasons, they were dismissed. And Madonna came out and said, the NBC company has asked me to read a statement. The previous seasons of Saturday Night Live were just a bad dream. And she folds it up and she leaves, and then they start the new show, with an all new cast. That, I think, is the reset. That is my opinion of what the reset needs to be. Kathleen Kennedy, with like fear tears coming down her cheeks, looking nervously just off camera, needs to read a note that says, everything after the acquisition from Lucasfilm has been a bad dream. Please forgive us. And just start with year 0 right after the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Well,
maybe they could have maybe they could have one of those shuttles. The epic opening with the ship goes over and a shuttle comes down and a black cloaked individual walks out onto the planet, and there's Will Smith with a little thing, and he just goes poof. It's all over. Start again.
I mean, I'd even be okay if you started with someone waking up and say, Palpatine has been using the ghost of Palpatine has been using his force powers to give me bad dreams, and then just move right on.
Yeah.
I give it back to Favreau, maybe. Like, just say here.
Well, one thing I will say, one thing I do want to say is, and this is something I think there's been a lot of astroturfing aimed at Star Wars fans who have disliked Disney Star Wars and everything. I have no animus. Like, Daisy Ridley is by all accounts a wonderful person and an accomplished actor. The same actually goes for pretty much everybody who's had anything to do with with Disney Star Wars. It's just they've been given terrible material. And not much direction, because I mean, if Daisy Ridley can act, I mean the facial expressions don't. There's those memes where it shows happy, sad, afraid. It's a lot of direction. You bring in. I'm going to be bold here, and the audience can throw Rotten Tomatoes at me if they want. I am going to say that if you had given Daisy Ridley the lead role in Rogue One, I think she would have been marvelous. Because Rogue One was a perfect example of a well-written post-Lucas Star Wars film. It's fantastic. I consider it canon. That was good.
It's good.
There were the first act that were a little. But you know what? You're always good. There were things in Jedi that you're like, "Ooh, good heavens!" So, and we didn't notice it because we were like 12 at the time, right? So, but that had at least promise. It had grit. It had dirt under its fingernails. There was some sense of there were stakes. People could fail and did. That was a big thing. That people had the capacity to fail and did, and then felt the consequences. Which I just don't get the feeling that anyone can fail anymore in any way that's actually going to matter.
Yeah, I mean, first is competence. People who actually know how to write stories. But I think too that the Star Wars universe also suffers from the same as fantasy races in D&D, which is they are far too many and too often now. Yeah. Whereas, back in the day, an elf village, that's crazy. Whereas now, there's Jedis everywhere. Luke was the last of the Jedi. Oh, no. Actually, we got like 50 over on this planet, and that dude was out doing janitorial work, and it just doesn't make sense. So I think that's one reason why Favreau's The Mandalorian works so well. Yeah. With the exception of Grogu, there wasn't really any Jedi stuff there. And same with Andor, the TV series, which is fantastic.
I've heard that's good too.
I've heard good things about Andor. I need to check out Andor.
The Grogu thing. I mean, I know like it's sort of the child has to be sort of central to but it really just smacks to me of what marketable thing can we squeeze into this movie? Into the show. Now he's the center of the show, so it's not like. But I mean, come on, that was designed to be a T-shirt. That was designed to be a plushie on your bed, right?
Well, I think I'm going to defend the Mandalorian here for a second. Just in that, I think you needed sort of that, like the innocent child is what makes Mando sort of break his ways and go rogue and be willing to take an interest in people. And that was fantastic for the first season, but it 100% was marketing that made him keep Grogu for the rest of it. Like if it had been a cat or something that he rescued, maybe a cat they would have made dolls. I don't know. A grown man. If he had rescued a grown man, there's no way that guy would have been around in season 2.
Yeah. No.
My sort of question on this is, when does this species develop pupils in their eyes? At what age? Because Yoda had pupils. Sorry, absolute trivia. But what's with the eyes?
I don't know.
Other than to make a plushie out of it, what's with those eyes? Thank you, Bill. Priming the pump.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Somebody match me. Come on, it's $5. That's like an order of fries at McDonald's. Somebody match me out there.
Grumpy, I'm almost with you, but I did like Grumpy says put on screen there's 3 Star Wars movies, 2 Terminator films, and only 1 Highlander. I'll put this up for you. I almost agree. I did like Rogue One. I did. So for me, there's 3 3/4.
Yeah.
But it is a cute face, Miss Bella. It is a cute face.
Yeah, it's a cute face when they don't have a blue macaroon throw up coming out of his mouth. But
it just felt to me like something that someone they focus grouped. What is the cutest thing that we can put into this show that will broaden the audience? That we can sell. We can sell plushies of, because you really can't sell a plushie of. Well, I guess you could sell a plushie Wookiee, but it's not as adorable, right?
Yeah, I was a bigger fan of IG-11. I will self-destruct. I thought that shit was hilarious myself. But hey, Dirty Basement Terrain. See, that's that. There you go, bud.
Oh, bless you, DBT. Oh.
This might have backfired on me when I stream Monday night. People would be like, I'm broke, Bill. Sorry. Love to help you out, Chief, but you guys did NCOD on Saturday, and
thank you very much to all 3 of you. Thank you.
Well, this dovetails nicely talking about shows on streaming networks. Unless you had anything else, Star Wars, either one of you guys.
Not really.
Dungeon Minister.
No. I just hope they put a moratorium on for a couple of years and just get it right next time.
They really need to pump the brakes on this. I mean, when Westerns died in the 1970s, the ones that came out after that, we got some phenomenal Westerns since then. I mean, Unforgiven, Tombstone, the remake of True Grit, which normally I'm not a remakes guy, but oh my gosh, Jeff Bridges as Rooster Cockburn, phenomenal, equally as good as the John Wayne original. So maybe we could get back to that awesomeness if they just let Star Wars cool off a little bit. But it's Disney, and they are spending money like a 28-year-old stockbroker in New York in 1987, and his cocaine dealer just got out of prison. So,
just to add one more thing about the Disney Star Wars, there are rumors going around that Kathleen Kennedy wants to retire, but she wants to go out on a win. Which
so she'll be there forever.
Yeah.
Lashing herself to the side of it like Ahab in after
the Great White Whale.
Yeah.
Oh man,
blood and thunder. Anyway, so I think if they keep bombing with these, we could actually see them winding up on this new streaming service. If we can get that up on Still Store there, Padre. ChickfilA. I cannot make this up. And believe me, this is not as hard as I'm going to laugh if we have the time to get to everything today. ChickfilA is reportedly launching a streaming service for some reason. ChickfilA may soon be competing with Netflix and Disney Plus in the streaming wars, which begs the question, will they in fact not have the servers running on Sundays?
Well, no, but that would be so watching it would be considered recreation. It would be rest.
I suppose
so,
but
if someone maintaining it, I don't know.
Free on Sundays.
So if you're outside of the CONUS or North America, we have this chain of fried chicken restaurants called Chick-fil-A. It's pretty good stuff. The founders and the C-suite guys are fundamentalists with their beliefs. And despite what anyone may have heard, no, they don't push it. They just emphasize very good customer service, and it's a pretty pleasant experience. And the food's not bad. It's fried chicken. It's here. It's based out of the South, so sweet iced tea and lemonade. Although you can get Coca-Cola and Dr. Pepper too. It's just plain fast food. But I guess they decided, we have billions of dollars. What shall we do with it? Streaming service, which is not the swerve I expected to see out of a fried chicken joint. This article comes to us from The Verge, and it mentions the streaming space has become so crowded, it's hard to imagine why any company would want to break in now. And I agree. This is like a 2019, 2020 move, right? But Chick-fil-A is working with a number of production studios to create multiple original shows for its streaming platform, debuting sometime later this year. Well, they don't have long. If it's going to break out, it's going to have to be like in the next 9 to 15 weeks, right?
Thank you, Michael. That's you know what? A few U.S. quarters up here in Canada goes a long way. So
that's like a week's pay for a Canadian.
I've really been interested in this, and I've been trying to rack my brain. The Chick-fil-A people are not dummies. I mean, they've had fantastic marketing campaigns in the past.
Yeah.
I always see lines going from the drive-thru all the way out into the street every time I pass one. So it made me wonder, maybe they are competent and maybe they've got this. So I'm wondering if we're going to see promotions like if you buy a set meal every week, you'll get buy 4 and you get a free month of streaming service.
I could absolutely see that.
I'd actually see it going the other way. If you subscribe to the streaming service, you get 10% off in the restaurant kind of thing.
Yeah, scan a QR code, you get an but the QR code doesn't come up except at random and late in the show you're watching.
It's just strange. I'm sorry.
And I'm wondering, most time people are going to be watching this on smart TVs, right? What if, as you're browsing through movies, they recommend like, hey, this would go great with the Hawaiian sauce, or this one would be good with an extra large sweet tea. Oh, press here and we'll have Grubhub send it to you so you can start the movie in 30 minutes.
I was thinking of that, sort of a dinner and a movie kind of idea. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I can't say how successful they'll be in the overall, but yeah, I kind of regarded this as a bit of a joke, but now that Yang puts it in this context, this could be, I mean, this could be really, really big, and it's not. I hate to make this comparison with such an awful thing, but it's not unprecedented, because you go back, you can dig up on YouTube, like, early television. I'm talking 1940s TV is like the Chesterfield such and such hour.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what soap operas are named for. They were sponsored by soap companies.
Exactly.
Somebody
General Hospital.
Someone at some point said, "You know what? I'm going to put a camera in your phone." Why would you put a camera in a phone? But now every phone has a camera in it. So
yeah,
there are stupider combinations.
I will point out, because I am too cheap to pay for better quality Netflix or Amazon Prime. Now that they've put ads on them, there's a lot of shows, especially like the weekend that the show first comes out. There's a company that will sponsor it, and that's exactly what you get. You get like a little advertisement, like, thanks to Chevrolet, your movie will be ad free.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. So Hanna-Barbera found 2 sponsors for the Flintstones, and one of them made vitamins, and the other one made cigarettes. That's right. There are Flintstones cigarette ads. You can find those on YouTube. Fred and Barney pitching Winston cigarettes. I'm not making that up.
No, but there was also it wasn't Bugs Bunny. It was some other cartoon, a totally innocent cartoon character who was just awful. I mean, horrible in these commercials. I can't remember who it was now, but there was a summer when my mother bought a thing of Flintstones chewable vitamins, trying to make me a little healthier, I guess. I think I ate half of the thing in one day. Yeah, because I was playing a game in which they were like power pills, and they'd make me fly, and depending on the flavor and the shape, it would do different things. And
and let me guess, they made you fly right to the bathroom.
Yeah, probably. Everything I ingested came out in the toilet later that day.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Your body can only take so much vitamin C at a time.
I think it was. If you're watching this and you're not a North American or American kid of the 70s or 80s, this might completely elude you, or maybe not. I don't know. In the 70s, well, up to the 70s and 80s, we had this interesting time when pharmaceutical companies were like, it's getting tough for the kids to take their medicine. Make it taste like candy. Nothing bad can happen. Yeah. Secrets, Ludens, yum, yum. Fruity vitamins, absolutely delicious. Orange flavored baby aspirin, that's the stuff, See, and they had the gall to wonder why our generation wound up like it did.
Yeah, really.
There you go. Yeah, the Flintstones complete chewables.
Yeah. Hey, Cal. Goodbye, Cal.
Hi, bye, Cal.
Oh, Daniel. Yes, we are nerds.
So yeah. Will Padre, if it's region unlocked, will you subscribe to the ChickfilA streaming network? It's run by evangelicals.
I can't say I would on the basis of, one, I still can't get my head around a streaming service run by a fast food joint. 2, we don't do a lot of we don't do any streaming services.
Right.
But and all I ever watch anymore is like you guys on YouTube and some of the people in the chat there. So
note to self, clean up language.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be something that would appeal to me, but God bless them, and literally, I'm sure they'll make a go of it. I don't know. It sounds like the kind of thing that gets announced and never done. Like when the Snow White, the disastrous stills from the Snow White came out, and the production stills, and Rachel Zegler started saying, is it Rachel Zegler? No, is that the right person?
Yeah.
Me and Hollywood personalities don't know each other, but yeah, she started. Oh, God bless you, John Scott. Oh, thank you. There we go. Is when she started saying awful things, and then the Daily Wire announced that they were making a Snow White movie, and their plans for it lasted as long as the storm around the Disney version, and then as soon as that quieted down and people moved on, Daily Wire is just sort of I haven't heard anything about it since. I don't think they're actually making it.
You know what it reminded me, and this is a little dated, but if you pop this up on screen real quick, a few years ago, Kentucky Fried Chicken has leapt straight into the meme zone with their marketing. Like they did a Japanese waifu dating sim video game you could download from their website. You may still be able to, but they actually said, we're coming out with a gaming console that's going to it'll have a tray you can put your fried chicken in and keep it warm and eat KFC while you game. And it's like the specs when it was announced were perfectly perfectly capable small form factor game PC specs. As far as I know, nobody's ever gotten one, but I mean, this is Cooler Master. This isn't even the KFC website. This is a well-known PC peripherals and hardware gaming company that was teamed up with them to do this. And it's still out there on the internet. It's not like it's been scrubbed. So that kind of sprang to mind when I first heard about a ChickfilA streaming service. So think about it. If the streaming service is available as an app you can run on Windows, you could have your KFC gaming PC running the KFC streaming service. How meta. How absolutely meta.
Well, this makes me wonder, Padre, if you wouldn't mind sharing my screen there. Wendys, the roast master who runs the Wendys Twitter account, has come a takedown. Are we on the verge of the off-promise fast food wars that were supposed to come about in as promised by Demolition Man?
We could be.
I think so.
Learn
how to use the shells, people.
Emily in Paris, Texas, any given day but Sunday. That's good stuff. That is good stuff from Wendys. And I mean, hey, Wendys released a tabletop role-playing game a couple of years ago. Feasts of Legends. It's not bad. I mean, the mechanics are not bad.
Yeah, I saw that. That was so strange. The Wendys role-play.
Yeah. I don't recommend doing what they recommend, which is give out XP or seek to earn XP by breaking out your Wendy's and eating it.
Okay, Nordic.
Well, I disagree.
Nordic, that is heresy. That is heresy, Nordic. You take that back or you are excommunicated. Taco Bell is life.
Maybe up in Canada. I don't know if you guys have like maple donut tacos or something up in Canada, but down here, we have enough good taquerias here in Central Florida that I don't have to enter Taco Bell.
I don't think of it as Mexican food any more than I think of instant coffee as coffee or instant mashed potatoes as mashed potatoes. I just like it for what it is.
Fair enough.
Chinese food. Chinese food in North America isn't Chinese food. It's North American food with some Chinese spices, but
And I will point out to the crowd, I did write a module for a Halloween D&D episode a few years ago, where the way to use your character's abilities is actually by eating candy, and it's just candy corn, you get certain abilities. Little Three Musketeers, you get certain. At the end of a session, it was fantastic to see how many people were green.
That's great. I love that. That is awesome.
Nordic, we're in full communion with the Lutherans, so you're all good. Just repent your ways around Taco Bell. Have a chalupa, it'll be fine.
That name, that name was chalupa. I can't with that.
Well, no, if you can do ChickfilA streaming, you can do a chalupa. Come on, that's a thing.
So speaking of games, not necessarily tabletop games. I don't know if you had heard about that. Actually, I don't know if either one of you guys had heard about this, but apparently the It game of the season, possibly even of the year, and extending on into 2025, is the at least fan acclaimed Black Myth Wukong, which I sadly do not have the PC to run. As proud as I am of my 12-year-old i7 4th gen and my water-cooled 12 gig GTX 1080, it would fall over and catch fire if I tried to run Black Myth Wukong on it. But yeah, this game, this is nuts. Let me bring this up here. If you could put this on the screen. This is the Steam charts. It shows how many people are playing what game. 2,400,015,714 players playing that at peak. That is bonkers. That is unbelievable numbers for Black Myth Wukong. And for those of you who are interested, and I'm gonna 3 square bounce this over to Yang if anybody wants any further explanations. But this is based on Chinese myth, and specifically, have I got this right, Yang? The Journey to the West, Journey into the West.
Yes, one of the classics
in
Chinese literature.
Yes, I mean, if you want something like in terms of scale and scope, obviously the story is completely different. But if you want a Lord of the Rings level legend, but something completely different, check it out. I'm not promoting Blacksmith Wukong, but just the story itself. So it is huge. And the interesting part is, so I guess we kind of got to go there a little bit to sort of explain why a really good selling video game is notable. The Western critics approached the dev team about this game, and to my understanding, there were mistranslated statements from the dev team, because the dev team were adamant that they are telling the story of Journey to the West. That's it. No modern sensibilities, no hip hop music, no, sassy person who sounds like they're from Los Angeles or New York. We're telling the story of Journey to the West without modern socio-political points of view. And the subset of terminally online people who call themselves games journalists these days were up in arms over that. And a mistranslation about things got twisted into, well, the developers of this game are sexists. And they've said misogynistic things, and they've done no such thing. But there has been a knives out, we're going to get these guys approach to this. And every review from The Verge, no, I shouldn't say that. I'm sorry, because I don't know that for sure. But definitely from Polygon, from PC Gamer, and from Kotaku has been, well, I guess it's an okay game. It's kind of mid. However, representation in the game is virtually non-existent. That's not the point. That this is a retelling of Journey to the West that you get to play. You get to be the Monkey King in this game. You get to be the Monkey King. And so
I guess that's good.
That's a good thing. But people's the little critics circle that have tried time and again to topple this game, it's not working. It's definitely not working. And I mean, so there was a little bit of astroturfing coming from, I know this might come as a shock, but public astroturfing coming from Reddit. And someone says, I can't help but think that the Steam charts for Black Myth Wukong, considering player count, is fake. It managed to reach almost 2.5 million players within 24 hours. And the response is, of course, dog, there are 1.4 billion people in China, and this is a game based off one of their most iconic characters. And then this person really went in deep with a scalpel. Yeah, it's definitely fake because it's not possible for China to have a population of 1 billion, and it's definitely not possible for the literature this game is inspired by, based on, to be popular there. How on earth is it possible for 2.5 million people to have PCs capable of running this game? Nah, no way. At most, there should only be like 50 people. Only games covered in my circle, my country, and the media that I follow can be popular. I don't see any advertisements or hype for this game, so how can it be popular? Not to mention all the controversies. Everyone has to react the same way to the game as I want them to, and not at all play the game. And then, of course, they go after this person a little bit more stridently. But kind of one of the things the no more than 50 people refers to is this game, Dustborn, which is an actual game that was funded by the government of Norway to attack a subset of Americans for their political beliefs. I'm not making that up. I'm not saying that with the Alex Jones impression.
Please do.
All right. The Padre asked for it, and who am I to tell a man of God no? Dustboard was created by the European Union. They're attacking us, people. They're attacking us through video games. They're coming at us through the video games. They're trying to get your kids to say bad things about America.
All 83 of them.
Yeah. And if you look down at peak, 83 players, 69. Nice. Now, but that is not 100. That's not thousands. That's not tens of thousands. That's 69 people play. And of course, this game is a critic's darling. The same people who've torn down Black Myth Wukong have built this game up, except for a couple of them that have been like, even they can't support the cringe that is Dustborn. Sorry.
There's times like this when I'm really glad I don't play video games. I'm like, yeah, I missed that entirely.
Yeah.
Because I see people in the chat saying it's an awful game, and you'd have to have played it to know that. So, golly, glad I missed that.
But yeah. So. But to get back to the positive, let's focus on the positive and not the negative. By all accounts, Black Myth Wukong will be the game for me to play in 6 or 8 years when I have the money to build a PC to play it. But it's on console, it's on Steam, it's on your wallet. I think your toaster, everything has this game on it. But I was just I just think it looks neat.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, it does look cool, and it has to me what is even more implications. So basically, those companies that you were talking about that basically crapped on it are part of a protection racket where there are sensitivity companies that will adjust your game to make it sensitive to the needs. And if not, all of their friends in media will write terrible reports about it. This game is interesting because from what I understand from the developers, they never really thought it would catch on in at least North America, because most Chinese games don't. So they just made it for their own market. And that's a lot of why they don't care. Now,
imagine that if you make a game just to be a good game and you don't try to pander to anybody, the results are better.
And that's the kind of thinking that must be stopped, which is kind of the point. There have been a lot of inroads made into Japanese gaming companies where now they are Japan's always like 10 years behind us culturally. So all of the woke stuff that we've been dealing with here is ramping up over there. And you're starting to see a lot of changes to games and manga and shows and stuff. But you don't have that in China or really in South Korea right now. And those are two very large video game markets. So there has to be companies attacking this, because that kind of mentality that everything has to be so inclusive that it sucks is really wearing thin with a lot of players here in North America and I believe in Europe. And right now, China and South Korea are more or less out of our sphere of influence. So that's why there's going to be a huge push to downplay this game and other games coming out of both of those two countries, because they can't risk companies who don't buy into their protection racket succeeding, so that companies here go like, wait, why am I doing anything with you guys?
Yeah. And I think you're right about the relatively unknown. I mean, 10 years ago, and I just want to answer something. Jimmy Invictus said Morrowind couldn't be made today. Skyrim couldn't be made today, my friend.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they keep selling it on every platform and everything, but it's sealed in amber, right? You could not say, I'm coming out with a game that does this today, because what happened to Black Myth Wukong would happen to you. And if you're a small studio and you don't have the feet to stand on, you'll just get buried in an avalanche. My perception of Korean gaming up until fairly recently was it's just repetitive MMOs. It's just play to win stuff. And as far as Chinese games, hey, there's this. Not Grand Theft Auto, Need for Speed or Forza clone out of China, and when you install it, suddenly you're a botnet on the Chinese Ministry of Defense's network. So it's like they've got you primed to help them DDoS the Pentagon when the time comes. But for something like this to take the world by storm, I think that's wonderful, and I kid about it. But yeah, no, I do hope that I can get a rig together to play this game someday, because it looks wonderful, and it's just about good gameplay. And Yang, you're absolutely 100% right. It is a protection racket. It's absolutely a protection racket. Nice little studio you've got here. It'd be a shame if we went to a developers convention and said you weren't woke.
Yeah. Although I'd put that right on my
page
for my company. Voted least woke.
Yeah. And it's by the way, Sweet Baby Inc. is the name of the company. I'm just gonna name the devil right here. SBI Sweet Baby Inc.
There are more companies that do that than Sweet Baby Inc. though. So I do agree with you. They're a huge problem. They're not the only ones. And if somehow that goes down, there's more tentacles to take its place.
Hydra. It's like a Hydra. You cut off one head and two spring up. However, I want to dovetail into something real quick, because this when I was talking about laughing about something, this actually made me laugh out loud. And this is gaming related. This is a little into the weeds. This is it's too bizarre to not bring up though. So this was over on IGN. A prominent accessibility advocate worked with studios and inspired change, but she never actually existed. In 2019, the game's accessibility community mourned the death of Susan Banks. Now, evidence suggests she may have never existed to begin with. So I'm going to spare you guys some reading. If you want the link, I will stick it in the chat, or you can read it on the screen if you've got us blown up big enough to where you can read it.
Thank you. Sorry, just wanted to get that in. Hey, thank you, Hypercam.
That's okay. Long story short, someone made up a person named Susan Banks. Probably this Cody Craven individual. They made the Susan Banks persona made some social media posts that got a lot of attention about accessibility and inclusivity in video games. And suddenly they were the celebrity of the quarter. Hey, will you come and write for us? Will you come and write for us? Will you sit on this board? Will you do this? Will you do that? And the part that really cracked me up about this, because the person who created this persona that doesn't exist, Banks first appeared in the gaming community in August of 2015. A Twitter account called One Odd Gamer Girl appeared to share the perspective of a deaf, Muslim, queer, disabled gamer nerd through accessibility reviews and interactions with varying studios and advocates. These posts regularly explored topics like deaf and hard of hearing accessibility in games, and that's not a bad thing. Living with mental health related disabilities like schizophrenia, racism, and being in a queer relationship, and so on and etc. The funny part to me, the part that cracked me up, and I actually have to do a word search here because this is a long, bizarre article. Okay. So when Cody Craven decided that the Susan Banks personality had to go, because a lot of people were asking, we want to meet this person. Can we have this person come to a panel? And I have to, because this is hilarious. Within months of Craven's introduction to Banks, Craven claimed Banks. I can't do it. Banks had been hospitalized after dropping a KitchenAid mixer on her foot, according to an anonymous former business associate of Craven's. In my own past conversation with Craven, several hours later, her leg was allegedly amputated. And nearly 48 hours after the first, her others was.
To get rid of.
I mean, of all the decisions, we've seen the Tony Curtis movie, The Great Pretender, Catch Me If You Can, where you're just like, the importance of being earnest, The Talented Mr. Ripley, where these fake personas come up and you're like, I'm going to get caught. I have to kill this person off. And then there's just this convoluted thing. All anyone's contact with this person was online. All you had to do was say, she died of a heart attack. She doesn't want to be talked to. She doesn't want to be contacted. You know what? Reclusive. This is too much pressure, and she just wants to withdraw from the social sphere. She dropped a Cuisinart on her foot, and her foot had to be amputated. Not just one foot, both feet. Both feet had to be amputated. That's what happened.
Have you ever seen
and they're not with us?
There's a British show called Would I Lie to You? And the contestants get a card and they read the card, and it's either a real story from their past or it's a lie that has been made up by the production company. But they read it out, and then they have to try to get the other team. If it's true, they want to get the other team to guess a lie. If it's a lie, they want to get the other team to guess true, because they get a point if they're wrong. This is like that because they read the thing and it says, I once invented a fake person to be a diversity or an accessibility consultant for a company. And then as they try to pretend that this thing was real, they get weirder and weirder, and they go for something so specific, right? Because yes, a heart attack is too vague.
Yeah.
I dropped something on my foot, and my foot had gangrene and had to be amputated. It was a Cuisinart. Because if I get specific, then you'll believe it, right? If I get real specific, then it sounds real. Because it's something that's just like, how can I make this more believable? Make it really specific. I had to drop something. A Cuisinart. Why not?
So, I have to ask a question of you two guys. Do you think that there's more of a proliferation of this stuff because fewer and fewer people are having kids? So they're not used to having to sift through nonsense lies like this?
A man jumped in, and a man jumped into our room, and he colored on the walls, and then he jumped out again before you came up here.
Yeah. You know what, Yang? I think you're onto something there. I think the childless neats out there that creates. I mean, this is deep stuff, and they dug up there like we didn't see. Like, so we called the hospital. They have no record of this person being there. We called the morgue. They have no record of receiving a body. We called this. And it's not just one person. If you guys in the audience, if you guys look at this article on IGN and you go all the way through, it's 4 people that this person made up.
Wow. You got to have relatives.
Yeah, of course.
The diversity critic. Accessibility advocate was just one of them. It was just one of the people created by this Cody Craven person, and it's Craven.
Craven was Cody Craven the person who created this? This is
that is so. Okay. I'm sorry, I said 4. There's 3. So there's. The person who was foully murdered most viciously by a Cuisinart. There was apparently she had a 98-year-old grandmother who played a ton of I don't know, Farmville or one of those Animal Crossing or something like that. And isn't it great that 95-year-old grandma is playing this? Oh, she passed away.
Well, because Susan was going to show up to some event. And they realized that the person that was going to be the Susan stand-in backed out, so they had to kill the grandma. This issue.
Yeah, so grandma had to die, and now Cody Craven has a partner that has this laundry list of degrees and skills and everything like that. Except everybody's looked into her, and she probably doesn't exist either. I was just going to say, my point, to come to a point on this, other than just laughing my ass off at she dropped a Cuisinart on her foot and died, is this person worked in video games. This person worked to steer video games a certain way. For good or for bad, this person created 3 fake lives to try and manipulate something the way they wanted it to go.
Well, that is the definition of a video game, though, isn't it? Like,
I guess they're just meta playing a video game. It's like watching your friend on their phone. Press left, jump, shoot, duck. It's kind of the same thing. But
this was a cutscene.
Yeah, exactly. This was a cutscene. So I when you talk about companies coming after a game like Black Myth Wukong, or telling you that a game like Dustborn is the game you want to play, these are sort of kind of the people who are doing it. So that's kind of my thesis there. I know that it was a big squeeze for a little bit of juice, but
that was, I mean, that the Cuisinart alone is worth the price of admission.
And you have to wonder, when an adult writes that as opposed to a kid, are they like secretly hoping they're going to get caught? Like, oh, I wonder if anyone will actually believe this kind of thing. And everyone
humiliation thing. Yeah.
But I would like to point out one more thing. This is not necessarily a new technique. Not to get too political, but former President Trump in the 80s, he was famous. He made up like a press liaison where when reporters would call in the 80s, remember, this is before the internet, before he was on TV all the time.
That's right.
They would call up his company, and he pretended to be this press liaison, and he would talk about, oh, yeah, that Trump guy, he's awesome. He's the best boss ever. He's going to make all these millions on these buildings.
But I just can't believe who wouldn't have realized that was him. Let me tell you something. My boss, Donald Trump, he's the best. He's the best at real estate. This is you, isn't it, Donald? No, I'm not. Let me tell you something. It's not me. It's somebody else. You have to believe me.
Well, it's probably the same people who believe that a falling Cuisinart requires a double amputation.
Well, yeah, if you drop it from a high enough height, it'll happen. I say, Grumpy, when I was in university, a couple of friends of mine and I collectively began handing in papers written by Admiral Akbar.
Nice.
And we would include him on the sign-up sheet because you'd walk in and you just sign in that you were there that day because attendance was part of the grade. And we would add Admiral Akbar at the bottom. And the professor started putting Admiral Akbar on the list. Now, he had no idea who this was. He knew it was a joke. But he played along and he put it, and we handed in papers. We were doing double the work to keep the joke going. And then near the end of the year,
fantastic.
I bought an Admiral Akbar mask and I made the whole costume, with the white with the yellow stripes down it and the
wow
sort of arena symbol badge that the rebels had. And I walked into class. I had to make the flippers out of was it like inner tube material or something? And I painted them all up and made these flippers and walked in. We committed to it. But we never killed him with a Cuisinart.
You never you had him sit in a minivan and then launched like a bag full of tannerite at it. We can't repel firepower of that magnitude.
That's a trap.
I mean, if you wanted to get out of that test, you could have said his grandma was killed by stormtroopers.
His grandma was killed by a Cuisinart.
Exactly.
Yeah, Lord Cuisinart, the Sith Lord. Oh, good heavens.
Oh my gosh. That's great. And I salute. That answers so many questions about how you've honed your crafting acumen over the years.
I think back to it and I think, I spent, because I was not a very, in my theater classes, I got great grades, but in everything else I did poorly. And I think now I know why. Now I know why.
Well, that's so that please, guys, for a belly laugh, absolutely, I will. You know what? I'm gonna Padre, put this up there. I'm gonna paste. Let me see. Yeah, please, guys, you could do a lot worse things after you get done watching some great streaming shows today. Speakeasy, I think, is coming on at 5:00 for Nerd Cognito. They're over on Rumble, but yeah, please go read the article on IGN. It is. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll laugh a whole lot more. It's good stuff.
Nordic says the best prank he ever pulled was constructing a giant biohazard tunnel out of plastic sheets built into the door of the gals next door in college. They were good sports about it.
They were good sports about it.
Similar story. Our the seminary I went to was part of a kind of collection of seminaries at the University of Toronto, and there was Trinity College where I went was the High Anglican, the Anglo-Catholic seminary, and across the street was Wycliffe College, the low church evangelical Anglican seminary. And there was great stories in the past of Trinity students getting dressed up in all of the robes of the liturgy with a incense, swinging the thurible and going across the street. And they chained the doors of Wycliffe shut and hung a sign that said "Closed for heresy." So these tricks. And by Fleetwood here reminds me, there was a painting over at Wycliffe that showed the empty tomb, and there's Mary and the other women coming to the tomb, and there's the angel saying, "He is not here, he is risen." And there was a plaque underneath that said, "He is not here, he is risen." And someone, I don't know, they put a piece of tape over it or made a replica sign and put it on top that said, "He is not here, he's over at Trinity." That took them a while to notice that one.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah, we have good fun. Was history one of my strong suits? You know what? I took a series of Latin American history courses. I did phenomenally well at them. And now, do you think I could remember anything about the history of anywhere, really, let alone South America? No, I don't remember anything about Latin American history anymore. But I did really well at the time. At the time, I was hot at it. All right. Young, if you have anything for us, anything hot and tasty to serve up at the Nerd Council of Doom cafeteria?
Well, the only thing I can think of is I am getting ready to launch my horror campaign guide called Empire of the Undying Sun next month. So I have been busy at work on that. It is 5e compatible, but it's got the feels of a 1e game, just with modern mechanics.
Yeah.
It's great. Anybody who wants to check it out, go to empireoftheundyingsun.com, and you can sign up there. Or I have a link to the Kickstarter here. I'll throw that in the private chat real quick. And if you sign up on either one of those, you will get a free module, which is written by one Bill Sylvie, aka the Dungeon Delver.
He's giving mine away free because he knew he couldn't sell that one.
So Fairy Hill is the name. It will only be free until the launch on September 27th. So if you sign up, otherwise you're going to have to pay good money. It's going to be like 10 million Canadian pesos, I think.
Oh, so $6.
Yeah. I was going to say like $8, $6 or $8. And I should point out, Yang will be on my show on Thursday, and we're gonna talk all about this. So I'm looking forward to that. There was one other thing I was going to mention after you were done talking about Empire of the Undying Sun. Yang.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't want to take up too much time, but yeah, that was it. And go for it.
You go.
No, I just have either of you guys seen Deadpool and Wolverine?
Oh yes, I saw that.
What'd you think?
I enjoyed it. The plot is thin gruel. But I'm not really. Look, it's a summer movie. I'm not there for deep thinking and understanding. I get to see Deadpool and Wolverine fight to the death in a minivan. I mean, what more do you want?
There you go. Let's see. I got the Rotten Tomatoes page up for it. Although I'm starting to question. No, I'm not starting to question. I strongly question Rotten Tomatoes use as a critic thing, but it is 95% fans love it. 78% of critics love it, and it may just be the tonic that could save the MCU, which is kind of in the doldrums right now.
Yeah.
So you were asking about us, what could fix Star Wars, something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Then them just being bold and saying, you know what, we're just going balls to the walls and giving just fan service, just 130 minutes of fan service is what you guys are going to get.
The thing about the Deadpool movies in general is that the scale is lower, right?
Yeah.
It isn't the entire galaxy is going to die. And so you don't need these massive, sky beams and generic alien armies. You can do something that's just fewer special, fewer computer generated effects, more practical stuff. I mean, obviously there's going to be lots of computer as well, but that just feels more tangible, more gritty, more touchable than the sort of gloss that's on everything now.
Yeah, and I mean, as much as the universe was at stake in Deadpool and Wolverine, it was them stabbing each other to death in a minivan. Was like the better part. That fight went on for like 10 minutes, and that is a huge chunk of movie. You don't think of 10 minutes as being a long amount of time. That is an enormous chunk of a film. And they made it work. Like you're never going, okay, we get it. No, it is nonstop hilarity. The fight in the minivan in there. So I give it a hearty recommendation. I give it 3 thumbs up. Myself and my mimic.
Yeah, is it worth seeing in the theater? Yeah, maybe. Is it worth watching on a plane? For sure. Is it worth getting a few buddies over and making some popcorn, ordering some pizzas to watch it? Definitely.
Hell yeah. You know what's not? Is Borderlands. Borderlands is 53% fan-like and 10% critic-like. It cost $180 million to make and has made back about $10 million.
Yeah, and Blanchett just looks bored for the entire thing. She just looks like this was not. She thought this was going to be a movie about a migrant situation or something. She was like, just showed up on set and went, what? Oh,
come on. She needs to add a pool. She needs to add a pool to her backyard. That's why she's doing this. I know it's true. I
am reminded of the comment Michael Caine made about Jaws. He said, somebody asked him if he'd seen the completed movie, Jaws: The Revenge. And he said, well, I've heard it's a very bad movie, so I haven't watched it. However, the house it bought for me is a very nice house, and I do see that on a daily basis.
Well, it's like the Hugh Grant, the movies that Hugh Grant makes now. It's entirely to afford,
Yeah.
The fact that he's no longer Hugh Grant, and so now he's doing movies ironically, being himself ironically.
He's like the slightly upper crusty version of Nicolas Cage.
Well, he's sliding into the slightly upper crust version of Gary Busey if he's not careful.
Oh my God. Now I am picturing a Gary Busey. I may have to go to Midjourney and see if it can show me what that might look like. Gary Busey.
If Gary Busey and Hugh Grant had a child.
Yeah. Oof. Oh.
I did want to get in a couple of things.
Sure.
This is not my only live stream of the day this evening, and I do this once the boys are in bed so that in case anything in the box could be used in our campaign. The very awesome father-son duo of Shadow and Son has sent me a box, and I'm going to be unboxing this at 10 o'clock Eastern time tonight. So if you don't know, let's see, we're going to do this. If you don't know Shadow and Son, I will share my screen first of all. Check them out. They're a lot of fun. It is I personally really caught into it because it's a father-son kind of duo, and they do mostly live stream. Shadow will be on doing a live stream with people. They start with a topic and they get wildly off topic every time, but it's always good entertainment at any point. At any rate, so we're going to be unboxing that from them later today. I also wanted to. I accidentally popped this up earlier when I didn't realize that it would immediately go up. This is something that I'm sure this has been out for a while and I just missed it. But the Gold Dragon ampersand. Now I know, Bill, you've ordered something from them, and it just never arrived yet. Still waiting.
So back on my birthday, that is the most irritating thing about this. Back on my birthday, when they first announced these 50th anniversary miniatures, I ordered the basic D&D, the introductory D&D cover, the Dave Sutherland Red Dragon that you see leaning out at the two adventurers. They've got a very nice looking miniature of that, and I ordered that on January 23rd. I knew it wouldn't be out till spring, early summer. that turned into July, which it turned into August, and my last word from IGN was September. I found someone on eBay who had it for probably $10 more than they did, canceled my IGN order and bought it, so it's shipping here. So I'll show it off to the class when it gets here. Someone I know went to a Target near him in Georgia and got the dragon. So I went to various Targets around my neck of the woods to see if I could pick one up before I got desperate and tried to find, something. But what I ended up, the only 50th anniversary minis I got was this booster set, which we can't see on screen, but that's fine. And they're crap. There's two okay minis in the set. One's a Type 3 demon and the other is a kobold. But this box with 4 minis in it, it's a blind draw box. It's a booster and it costs $25. Entirely not worth the money.
Yeah. I've not found this thing anywhere listed like from a shop. I've seen it on eBay for an extortionate price. But I just think it looks so cool because as a mini, as a dragon that you can put on the table, it looks great. And then of course it's the ampersand. I mean that.
Yeah.
Nice little nod.
If you want to. I'm not going to knock that many. 2 of the minis I got in the box that I bought yesterday are garbage, in my opinion. 2 of them are okay. That is gorgeous. That is a nice looking piece. As far as I can tell, the dragon, the red dragon is a nice piece. I have no problem with that. I have a problem with the fact that they have been dragging ass, and I don't blame IGN even, because I started emailing their customer service and they were like, we feel just as bad as you, dude. They're not sending it to us. We're not selling this in our store as being in stock. So we're very, very sorry. And then somebody finds it on the shelf at Target. That is a WizKids dick move, if you'll pardon me.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great.
So
anyway, I saw that yesterday and hunted all over the internet for it and found absolutely nothing except, again, someone on eBay selling it for like $90 US or something.
Yeah, I've seen the Mordenkainen figure from that line. I was like, I would really like to have the Mordenkainen figure. I'm not going to play blind draw roulette. Let's see how much it is. $50 for Mordenkainen from the cover of Mordenkainen's Fantastic Adventure. Now, given that you might have to buy 5 boxes before you got Mordenkainen, maybe it's it literally comes down to what kind of gambling do you want to do? Do you want to just give up and give the house $50 and have a nice steak dinner, or do you want to go out and try and win a jackpot, knowing you probably won't? So
right.
But that is beautiful. That is a very nice
it's a neat piece. I think it's just kind of cool. The other thing, because someone asked me earlier, and I am going to shill for Claricon, which is coming up. You can find the. Let me paste that here. You can go to claricon.com and that'll bounce you there, or you can just go to claricon2024.rsvpfi.com and find it. And so the question was, because earlier I talked about the possibility of expanding and renting a second space. What I'm doing right now is I'm opening up, if we've got dungeon masters that can, essentially what I'm looking for is people who are willing to say, if, I am willing to run a game if, I'm potentially willing to run a game. And that way, if we get enough of those folks to justify a second space, then I can go ahead with a second space. If it doesn't materialize, I haven't, so I need people who are like on condition. I can conditionally run a game. So if you can conditionally run a game at Claricon, I'd love it. I'd love to have you up here. obviously the focus is old school, but that doesn't rule out someone's running the new Matt Colville game.
Oh, nice.
And someone's running a boy, Alzheimer's Hardy Boys game that he's written, so it's not published or anything. It's just he's in the middle of getting it ready. So so it doesn't have to be old school. And I noticed in the chat, and yes, indeed, one of the things that Claricon's going to feature is, DMs will have prizes they can hand out for the people because I'm going to provide them with prizes. There'll be auctions and stuff, and I don't even know if I can get it on screen. Dirty Basement Terrain last year sent me a whole bunch of stuff to give away as prizes and to auction off and all sorts of great stuff, and it was really cool stuff. Well, he did it again. And the box arrived. Oh,
good Lord.
I cannot believe the size of this thing. The guy knocks on the door. He says, I got a package for you. Like, oh, okay, great. I got to go get it from the truck. Like, why didn't he just bring it with him? That's why. It's enormous. It's enormous. Now, I mean, of course, Lawrence crafts with foam and stuff like that, so it doesn't weigh a huge amount, but still, good heavens. At any rate, looking forward to unboxing that. I'm probably going to unbox that in a week or so. Yeah, that is the box. Actually, I can't remember if it was one of my boys, Touchberry or Fleetwood. I said that what he suspects is that Lawrence is in that box. Yes, he wanted to come to Claricon, but he couldn't make it work getting up here. I think he just mailed himself, and so I'm going to open that up. He's going to come out and then just craft things here for me. So nice. He's somewhere in there with his phone because he's in the chat. But at any rate, so that unboxing is coming up, and all this really cool stuff is going to be available as well.
Now, let me just ask you this, Padre. Just throw this out there. Claricon line?
Claricon line. You know what? I've been asked that before. And yeah, you know what? I need someone to run it though, because I'm chatting for I thought he was. When I'm there, because I thought last year, we could do an online thing happening, and there's just too much. It's too small for me to have like a team of people. God bless Grumpy Old Slan and really all the other folks who come and help run it. But there's just so much happening there in person that the online portion is falls by the wayside. If someone could run it, I'd love it. That'd be fabulous. I think it would probably just be on Discord. It's usually the best. I've found the most helpful, the most useful thing to run it with. At any rate, so if anyone's out there who wants to run some online stuff, chat me up. I'll be happy to talk. Have an online component, and there was a notion that maybe we could do one that was like a live game with a laptop sitting at one of the spots, and someone could, but it was the logistics on that just seemed to be a bit too much. As again, doing everything in person. But anyway, yes, Claricon. So there's still our registration spots open. There's still games open now, but they're starting to the number of seats open are starting to get kind of slim. So if we can. If people want to conditionally DM, how to let me know. I'll tell you in a moment. Yes, this is all true. There's still spots available, but it would help if we could get a second space and a few more people. That would open it up. If people want to contact me, it's I'll put it in the. Did I spell it right? Yes, I did. I think I can post links on my own thing. The Dungeon Minister at gmail.com. So you can let me know. I'd love to hear from you. So Dirty Basement Terrain gets the best name in this stream. I'm with you on that. So anyway, I think that's what I've got. Is that all I have? 2 boxes I have to unbox here. And Claricon. Yeah, that's all from me. So anything else, gentlemen, that needs to be nerdified?
Well,
I am nerded out myself, Yang.
I was just going to give some recommendations. So for anyone who is interested in the story of Sun Wukong, check out Overly Sarcastic Productions YouTube channel. They have a whole series of Journey to the West. And don't try to read it yourself. There's no good English translation that's a full translation. And the book in China is like this thick because it repeats itself a lot. So just go to Overly Sarcastic Productions and go through. They've got a playlist. Just go through it from the beginning. And if you're interested in a movie, there was a 2-part movie series from famous director actor Stephen Chow in Hong Kong. It's from like around 2000-ish. The English title is I believe it's A Chinese Odyssey. Let me just double check.
I did put a link in the private if you want to share that, Padre, to the OSP playlist. She is a wonderful little presenter. I say little. She's got like 8 million subscribers or something.
Some little channel she's running.
Yeah. She draws more viewers than like most Disney Plus Star Wars shows. That's all.
And I just threw in a link to IMDb, A Chinese Odyssey Part 1 Pandora's Box, which is a hilarious comedy take on the myth of Journey to the West that you really don't need to understand the story at all or Chinese to find incredibly funny.
Very good. Very good. All right. Well, that was pretty nerdy, I think. And we avoided Doom, I trust. I hope.
I didn't see him in the audience, no.
Oh, good. That would be Robert Downey Jr., of course.
Yes.
I was thinking of Doomsword Deathmaster from
yes, Doomsword Deathmaster. If Robert Downey Jr. plays Doomsword Deathmaster, he'll have a considerably less gravelly voice.
Yes. Yes. There's this. Some movie stars will do this thing where you pay them a little bit of money and they'll do birthday shout outs and that sort of thing. Yeah. If he did, I would say, look, here's $50. Shout out Doomsword, but you got to do his voice. And I wonder if he could.
Yeah, that would be difficult. So, all right. Well, if you have not already, please go subscribe. Give those people some love. If you have not subscribed here, please do so. And thank you. And I want to give a shout out thank you to The Dungeon Delver, to Dirty Basement Terrain, Squirrel Hermit, Michael Dale, John Scotto, and Unregistered Hyper Cam 2 for their supers today. Thank you very, very much. We will be back next month. Whose place are we at next month?
I think we're over on mine.
Yes. All right, we're over at Yang's next month. Mm-hmm. So come and he's that way, not that way. He's that way. Come and hang out with us next month. We'll be announcing it in the lead up, and have a very nerdy day. Ciao all.